Hi, I'm David Waszek. I'm a historian and philosopher of mathematics visiting from Paris, France. Um, it's a great privilege for me to be able to be here for the term in such an intellectually vibrant place. This is the Department of Philosophy, the HPS department, and most importantly, a very friendly and interesting group of fellows. Um, it's especially exciting for me as a philosopher of mathematics because I often regret the lack of mutual engagement between the history and philosophy of science and the history and philosophy of mathematics. Um, Indeed, I feel like in discussions of other sciences, mathematics is often treated like this kind of its own thing, this kind of black box, monolithic thing in the corner, useful for sure, but also kind of embarrassing. Maybe it even has, a big yellow label on it that says, do not touch, risk of ontological explosion, do not worry about it too much. But if we open the box, as I think we should, we'll see that mathematics is not this monolithic, peculiar thing, but like other sciences is made of a diversity of different practices, pursuing different aims, guided by different values. For instance, a search for various kinds of understanding, ideals of economy, of perspicuity, maybe of rigor, of generality, and so on. I think historians have shown this conclusively in recent decades, but it's still something that we have to make sense of philosophically. And I think it's essential, not just internally for mathematics, but also if we want to properly understand the intellectual contribution mathematics makes to the scientific enterprise. It's not just one damn theorem after the other. In my own work, my own way of approaching this is along the lines of a research program that I see as originally delineated by Pittsburgh's own Ken Mandis. Indeed, by looking at mathematical language, or in the broadest sense, at the way mathematics is expressed. What do I mean by this? So if you open a math book, at random, you'll typically find a dazzling array of symbolic languages, of diagrams, maybe tables and matrices, and also very complex organization of the text, so an intricate structure of definitions, stipulations, theorems, lemmas, and so on. There are many questions you can ask relative to these. For my purposes, the questions that matter most are of a pragmatic nature. How do the particular representations you use orient your problem-solving activities, your theorem-proving activities, maybe your conceptualizing activities, and accordingly, what kinds of epistemic benefits or losses accrue from using one particular representation rather than another. Intuitively, there are obvious things you can say here. Perhaps using the same algebraic language in many settings has benefits for unification. Perhaps a diagram is more useful than a long list of sentences because it helps you locate the information you need at any given step in the process of solving a problem, for instance. This is all very vague, and the goal is to make these kinds of ideas much more precise. The way I try to do this is by looking at these questions historically, in the hope of finding the smallest and most tractable particular cases. I look in particular at notation, symbolic notation, so which symbols you choose and how you put them together. And I try to look in very fine-grained ways at the way mathematicians work with notations in their drafts, during their process of research, and so on. I'm also interested in mathematicians' explicit or implicit values in choosing particular ways of writing over others. Again, the goal here is to describe as precisely as possible the various forms of intelligibility that mathematicians pursue in the broadest sense. And I think analogous questions to these arise in any science and are not that peculiar to mathematics, although they might be pursued in a unique way by mathematicians. And I'm very excited to discuss them with all of you here. Thank you.